You know, you gotta love these WildEye releasing films. I have here another 4 film set here, and this one is obviously trying to cash in on the Conjuring universe. We have Conjuring the Devil, the Alyona Curse, Heidi, and Ouija Possession. Ouija Possession is obviously trying to copy the Ouija film, and it's not. It's obviously not related to the Conjuring universe. That original film isn't, and neither is this one, but they just packed it in, probably because it fits with all these other things. Alyona is. It has a lot of films. The Conjuring universe one is probably arguably the best one, although I don't remember that film. I have it and I don't remember too much about it. The best one on this set would arguably be this one. The worst one would be this one. These two are fine. This one is kind of funny. This one is just kind of meh. It's just kind of there. It's not insultingly bad. It's not entirely forgettable, but it is also not amazing, awesome, great. Conjuring the Devil is about an old school priest who gets transferred to an out in the country church where the clergy, where the conjugation, there's a word for the people, the flock. Yeah, the flock is not exactly your typical flock. It's not your typical flock. And so the Old Testament guy says, you've been a little bit too lenient on a lot of the sinning going on here. I'm gonna crack down on that stuff. And he summons a demon nun to go after the flock and take them out one by one to punish them for their sins. Because he's not about any of that stuff. This guy is pulled straight out of the Old Testament, and so he does get his comeuppance in the end. He gets taken out. The demon nun gets taken out, and it is pretty comedic how all of this stuff happens. It's kind of like a low-budget Final Destination type of series of kills. A lot of these things seem like they're accidents when the cops come to take a look at these things, and then it goes like, wait, did this person commit suicide? Oh, this person commit suicide. Oh, did they commit suicide? But then we learn it was the demon nun who did it. And so our heroes have to take out the demon nun by taking out the relic that is attached to the demon nun's spirit, which is in the hands of the Old Testament priest. So they take the Old Testament priest down, and they take the demon nun down, and everybody's happy, happy-dory. The Alyona Curse, I cannot remember anything about it. I can't remember anything. I couldn't tell you a single thing that happens in this film. It is so sleepy. It is so unbelievably sleepy that I put it on. I remember it being on. I remember people speaking. I remember words being exchanged with people, but I couldn't tell you what those words were. I couldn't tell you what anybody's name is. And maybe the Alyona, the ghost lady showed up. I couldn't remember. I just don't remember. I just don't. Now, Heidi, this one is my favorite of the 4, personally. And it's probably because of the way it was shot. Now, all these have a similar budget. Very low budget, very low. It's WildEye releasing, after all. But the people who made this one clearly realized their budget. And they realized they're trying to make a dollar store Annabelle film. But they don't want to exactly be like Annabelle. Because this is about a cursed doll thing. Annabelle, the first one, set the bar kind of low. It's not the best of the Annabelles. Annabelle 2 is obviously the best of the Annabelles in the Conjuring universe. The first one is kind of sleepy. It's not bad. It's better than Alyona in the Conjuring universe. It's probably better than Conjuring 3. No, probably not. It's not the best in the Conjuring universe, but it's pretty forgettable. Heidi tries to tell a story that is more interesting than the Annabelle curse. We have a doll that just shows up with these two kids. The teenagers who are basically vloggers of a sort. They're carrying around cameras, filming and recording everything. They play pranks on people in the neighborhood and all that stuff, and they put it up on like a YouTube channel or something. And right away, you realize that the filming technique here is found footage. Found footage is one of the cheapest filming techniques you could use, and so there's quite a lot of them in the low-budget market. But it's all about how you edit the film together, how the actors act, how you do all of this. And this one, I think, was also found footage, but the issue with found footage in La Llorona Curse is the music. I forgot to mention that with this. This one had music added in, and a lot of ADR added in as well. The music overtook the dialogue. You couldn't hear anybody speak, and there's a lot of sound effects added in after the fact, and it was terrible. Don't put music in a found footage film unless it's actually playing on somebody's stereo. If you do that, it feels artificial. It's supposed to be found footage. All of the sound in the film is supposed to be coming from what the footage is picking up. So if a TV is on, if a radio is on, that's where your music is coming from. You don't add in stock music to drown out all of the sound. Obviously, the audio balancing wasn't very good. I remember being very angry about that with with La Llorona Curse. Thankfully, none of that is in Heidi. There's no added-in soundtrack. All of the sound that you hear is in the actual footage that they pick up. Whatever you hear is whatever the film cameraman is hearing, and that is perfect. That was excellent. It was an excellent choice. It is filmed very much kind of like a Paranormal Activity movie in a way, and honestly, I am very lenient on the Paranormal Activity series. I really liked the first one. It was really good. The second one was basically just trying to do the first one again. Thankfully, they did add in a couple investigation stuff with the daughter. She goes online and does investigations. She's got a boyfriend who does investigations and all that other stuff. So that's a new direction that Paranormal Activity 2 tried to do, but it wasn't as good as the first one. The third one was really interesting. I really like that one. The fourth one's okay. The fifth one's alright. The sixth one is the worst. Easily the most insulting. It is the worst. The seventh one I actually really liked as well. But getting back on topic, this is filmed like a Paranormal Activity film. This guy is trying to find footage of this doll being creepy, and they do have some good editing. The doll does move using some sort of like stop motion type of thing. The doll moves, it moves in different positions, it tries to do all sorts of things to try to creep you out, and it does have a lot of techniques that are similar to more successful found footage films, but the people who made this learned from those films and tried to imitate those techniques, and it worked. It was genuinely unsettling. I found the Heidi doll in this film to be far more unsettling than Annabelle was in the first Annabelle movie, and that was fantastic. It was a really good story, and I don't want to spoil too much of what the story goes on, because I would actually say you should take a look at this. All four of these films can be found on Tubi for free right now. So if you want to go watch Heidi, I definitely recommend you do so. It is a good time. If you're a fan of found footage films, you're going to find this one to be pretty interesting. At least I did. I found it pretty... Maybe the bar was just set a little too low after these first two films, but I found this one to be a major breath of fresh air. I really liked it. Ouija Procession is not as funny as Conjuring the Devil. It's not as comical, but there's some bad acting in here that is pretty funny to watch. It is pretty funny to watch. If you want to riff it like a Mystery Science Theater episode, if you want to get some friends together and riff the heck out of this while you're watching it, go for it. That's going to be fun for you. But the film itself, the story itself, what's going on in the actual film, that's not the entertaining part. The entertaining part, for me, was riffing it. I was riffing a lot of scenes in this, making fun of it. There's a scene where a guy stares at a door for like for like a whole minute, and you hear a heartbeat and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, so he's having a staring contest with the doorknob. I'm gonna win this staring contest, doorknob. I'm gonna win, doorknob. And then the door falls. It goes like, you blink, doorknob. It is pretty funny. It is. It was a pretty fun time for me to doing that, but watching the film by itself without doing any of that stuff, it's probably not gonna be the best time for you. Overall, I would say this is the best one, followed by this one, followed by this one, followed by this one in the absolute last place. This one had the potential to be interesting. It's just the editing. The editing, you need to go in and you gotta get that sound, you gotta get that music out of there. You gotta take out that music. You gotta take out the jump scare sounds, you gotta take out the music. The only sound that should be in this film is whatever the cameraman himself or herself is hearing in that actual area. So if you're hearing just people talking and with some ambient wind blowing the grass or whatever, fine. That's fine. I want to hear what they're saying. I couldn't hear what anybody was saying half the time. And being WildEye, being low budget, subtitles. You gotta put subtitles on. And I don't remember subtitles actually being available for these films. But that's my overall review there. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one was the most disappointing. I thought, the bar was pretty low with the Laudiano film in the Conjuring universe. Maybe you'll be better. And that was the same thing with Annabelle here, so Heidi definitely did impress me. I would say that the filming techniques and the acting, the story, the trying to take it into a new direction from Annabelle being very different from Annabelle, I thought all of the ideas that these guys had were fantastic. I believe it was like two brothers or siblings or something that wrote, directed, edited. They did a lot of the stuff involved in this film, and you could tell it's very low budget, but they did a really good job, and I hope they go on to do some other more interesting films. But yeah, that's this WildEye releasing. I have another 4-film WildEye releasing set that I may do in the future. But for now, that's it.